It's 12 o'clock. You are watching news analysis live on Politics and Business TV. The top stories. President Bola Tinubu returns to Nigeria after 2 weeks in France. Direct immediate interventions to alleviate sufferings of Nigerians. Senate grills service chiefs over insecurity in the country today. Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayemi Cardoso, says Nigeria's inflationary pressure will drop from 28.92% to 21.4% in 2024. Details coming up shortly. Right, welcome back. I am Omo Peace Osemere. Now let's begin with the story of the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has returned to Nigeria after a 2-week private visit to Paris, France. According to media reports, the presidential jet touched down at the presidential presidential wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, at about 9 p.m. yesterday. The president was received by top government officials, including his chief of staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. The recent trip makes it his 3rd visit to France and his 14th foreign visit since he assumed office 8 months ago. While Tinubu's return is amid protest in some states over the rising food and living costs, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, said Tinubu had directed immediate interventions to alleviate the suffering and forestall a further breakdown in security. Now, the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, met behind closed doors with the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, and some ministers at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, yesterday over food security and protests in some states. The meeting also had in attendance the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Yemi Cardoso, Ministers of Education, Dr. Tahir Maman, Finance, Wale Edun, Budget and National Planning, Atiku Bagudu, Agriculture, Abubakar Kyare, and State for Agriculture, Sabi Abdullahi. The party was held as the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, and some opposition parties disagreed over the cost of living protest in Niger and Kano State. While the APC accused the opposition of sponsoring what it dismissed as anti-President Bola Tinubu protests, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Labour Party, LP, and Coalition of United Political Parties, CUPP, said the APC was chasing shadows and had itself to blame for the protest. Briefing State House correspondents after the meeting that lasted for about 3 hours, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, expressed President Bola Tinubu's worry over the development. He said that the President has directed that the situation should be arrested by the Presidential Committee in order to reduce hardship on the populace. The minister, who said that there is enough food in the country, added that some elements are trying to take advantage of the high food prices and the depreciation of NAIRA to cause havoc. In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu has reiterated his administration's commitment to ending the insecurity plaguing the country. The president stated this when he inducted 2 T-129 attack combat helicopters and 1 King Air B-craft 360ER mobility aircraft for use by the Nigerian Air Force. Represented by his Vice President, Kashim Shettima, the president said the acquisition of the helicopters and the induction symbolized the commitment of his administration to the nation's security. The induction ceremony held at the 131 Engineering Group hangar, Nigeria Air Force Base, Makurdi. The president said that the acquisition and induction of the new platforms would improve NAV's air power in the ongoing war against terrorism. He acknowledged that since its establishment in 1964, NAV has been playing a critical role in the nation's security, international operations, and humanitarian needs. Still on security matters, operatives of the Nigeria Police Force have killed a notorious bandit Issa Dede in Abuja after storming the hideout of a bandit group in the suburb of the Federal Capital Territory. The operation was said to have been carried out by policemen attached to the Department of Force Intelligence of the Intelligence Response Team. The Force Public Relations Officer, ACP Olumuyiwa Adeyobi, disclosed the development in a statement this morning. Adeyobi noted that while only Dede was neutralized, some other members of the gang who escaped were shot during the gun duel and sustained bullet injuries. Now, the Senate has said it would grill the service chiefs today and tomorrow, Thursday, over the insecurity in the country. This was disclosed by Senator Tokumbo Abiru while announcing the postponement of the interface between the Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and other financial institutions from Tuesday to Friday this week. Killings and kidnapping of citizens for ransom have been on the rise in recent weeks, causing panic in the land. The Senate had resolved last Tuesday to summon the service chiefs to offer explanations on what they were doing about the alarming insecurity in the country. Abiru told journalists that due to the scheduled appearance of the service chiefs, the Senate had decided to postpone the appearance of the CBN governor to Friday. Right, you're watching News Analysis live on Politics and Business TV. Still to come, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Olayemi Cardoso, has said that harsh reforms by the bank will eventually stabilize the NAIRA as well as the economy in the long run. A business and financial consultant, Agaba Wilson Agaba, and Ben Aguloye, who is a development expert, will be joining us in a moment to critically analyze the CBN reforms and how the NAIRA can gain grounds through collaborations. These and more after the break. To join us again. Right, welcome back. You're watching News Analysis live on Politics and Business TV. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Yemi Cardoso, says Nigeria's inflationary pressure will drop from 28.92% to 21.4% this year. Cardoso said this in Abuja on Tuesday when he addressed the House of Representatives. According to him, the projected decline in the country's inflationary rate is due to the inflation targeting policies of the federal government. He said that improvement in agricultural productivity and easing global supply chain pressures would also contribute to reining in inflation. Now, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayemi Cardoso, has said that harsh reforms by the bank will eventually stabilize the NAIRA as well as the economy in the long run. Cardoso, who stated this on Monday, added that the bank had rolled out critical policies that would strengthen the NAIRA, which had been falling against the dollar. Speaking further, he highlighted the recent move to have the NNPC and other government agencies move their funding into the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, as a positive and confidence-boosting measure. This move, according to him, is viewed by external observers as a significant step forward, which is expected to create a more transparent market system and increase foreign exchange inflow. By involving major state-owned entities like the NNPC in these reforms, the CBN aims to strengthen the overall financial system and enhance economic stability. Regarding the MPC, which is expected to be held this month, Governor Cardoso expressed his focus on ensuring that the MPC is impactful and complements the fiscal side of the economy. He indicated that the MPC's direction is aligned with the CBN's renewed focus on stabilizing prices and lowering inflation, reflecting the new direction and core mandate of the central bank. The bank plans to focus on its core strength while collaborating closely with entities with expertise in intervention spaces. This approach aims to avoid the pitfalls of failed interventions and ensure that the resources are used effectively and reach the right people. That being said, stabilizing the Naira through reforms and collaborations. That is what we're going to be looking at on News Analysis today. I have my guest, who's a business and financial consultant, Agaba Wilson Agaba. He would be joining us live via telephone this afternoon. Good afternoon to you, Agaba Wilson.
Good afternoon.
All right, and I also have in the studios a development expert, the person of Ben Aguloye. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. Now, so much to talk about with a lot to take in, right? We have a lot of questions I would like to get answers to, knowing, of course, that the CBN the issues around the CBN and the free fall of the Naira have actually been on the front burner in recent times. I'll start with you, Agaba Wilson, if you can hear me. The CBN and issues around the Naira, just like I said earlier, have been on the front burner for a while now, but would it be right to say we are moving round circles?
Sorry, say the last statement again.
Yes, would it be right to say that we're just beating round circles and knowing that this conversation around the free fall of the Naira is one that's been, going on for quite some time now? Are we beating round circles?
Oh yes, I think it will be right to say that, because the issue that is leading to the fall of the Naira has been here with us since the 80s and maybe even earlier than that. And it's not new to any of us, both those in government and those of us who are not in government. We have known that one of the reasons that the Naira has been free falling is the lack of productivity in the country. And now, with the globalization issue, it exposes us more to the global market, where each person now can easily click on just a simple click from an e-commerce platform and buy things that comes into the country. So, because we don't produce much, we don't have things that we can put on e-commerce platform for others to buy. Before, it used to be heavy equipment and all those industrial goods and all of that form most of our imports. But as it is, even consumer items also, fast-moving consumer goods also form part of our imports. People buy hair cream, people buy even toothpaste, people buy little things, including phones and accessories from abroad.
Okay.
So it's putting so much pressure on the Naira.
Right.
On the other side, we are also aware of the corruption, manipulation, and all of that is in the financial system regarding especially the exchange rate, where people are doing round tripping, people are claiming to be traveling and getting money without going out, and all of those things happening.
Okay.
Unless these two things are checked, we would be just talking for its sake.
Okay. Agaba Wilson, the lack of productivity and the perceived corruption from your own perspective, and the manipulation of some sort going on in that space, can we attribute that to the absence of visionary leadership within the CBN?
Oh yes, definitely, not just within the CBN. It is the general leadership in the country, because I say this because the Nigerian president has a lot of power, even more than what the Constitution gives to the president of the United States of America. Now you see that Nigerian president can suspend a CBN governor. He nominates a CBN governor, and the CBN governor is now confirmed by the National Assembly. The president also nominates the head of EFCC, the head of ICCC, and several other key agencies in the judiciary and in the financial intelligence sector. So, at the end of the day, it will all boil down to the leadership from the president himself. So, if the president says, I want to focus on this, and I need you guys to do this, and I give you the hand, you all go out, take down anybody, irrespective of how close the person is to me or instrumental he is to my office and all of that. You will see it happen. But where this is not the case, which I am not implying that it is right now, if this is not the case, most of these heads will be speculating. Should I do my job? Will it cost me my job? You see the case of people like Ibrahim Magu, the case of the immediate past AFCC chairman, and all of that. You don't know which told you are going to trample upon, and then it will cost you your job. So these people speculate. They are unable to go all out. The CBN too, they speculate. They are unable to go all out. So the leadership will begin from the very head in order for it to work.
Okay.
I know that the president, because of the portfolio the constitution hands over to him, is a very busy person and may not be able to focus on every aspect like that. But the president should look into this issue and give a matching order.
Okay. Agaba Wilson, you know, when you talk about round tripping in the country, it speaks volumes. At the same time, it is no longer news. But sometimes analysts like you would want to, you know, be bold enough to pinpoint those who are really round tripping, you know, within that space or that sector. And most often than not, you know, it tends to raise dust. But do you see the possibility of eradicating this act of round tripping within that space?
Like I said, ending this kind of thing will take a radical approach and a strong resolve from the very top. You see, sometimes in the past, other administrations have attempted to end this kind of stuff. And then you see that the current president, even when he got to the office, tried to unify the exchange rate market by floating the NAIRA. And you know, all these people sabotage the process again because, of course, the mechanism for monitoring and enforcement is not as strong as it should be. I remember going to the bank within that time to look for just $200 to pay for my website hosting, and I couldn't get. And so it is for a lot of other people. So ending that kind of stuff that have been ingrained in the system for a long time is not going to take some soft politics. It's going to take a lot of radical and revolutionary approach. But that's the only way we can begin to see the true strength of the NAIRA.
Okay.
I was reading the other day and I saw that in some countries you don't even hold foreign currency in your account for more than a month.
Okay.
If it's there for up to a month, there's a law to actually return it back to the local currency. But yeah, we can have it for as long as we want.
Agaba Wilson, in a very straightforward response, who are those, you know, in possession of, you know, the dollars in the country? Is it the elite or, you know, the average Nigerian on the street?
I think you just want me to provide an answer so that it will be said that it was Wilson Agaba who said. No, otherwise, we all know the answer. Do I have dollar in my account? Do you have dollar in your account?
Well, I don't.
And help me ask the other person in the studio, does he have?
Okay.
And does he have in his house? So we already know where these things are. Okay. If you don't have enough money to even pay your bills in Naira, would you be storing in dollar?
All right, Agaba Wilson, another question, you know, that actually comes to mind is whether or not the black market or the parallel market, if you like, is the bane of the Naira. Is it?
It is. It is the bane of the Naira to some extent, but not holistically as we are saying. For instance, the system not running properly gives life to the black market. Like I'll still use the example of when I was trying to pay for my website. I ended up buying from the black market because the official system couldn't give it to me. So as long as the official system is not effective, the black market is going to be there. And the black market is going to continue to set the rate because that is where every Nigerian can walk into and be sure they will get dollar.
Right. Before I let you go, real quick, we understand the recent move to have the NNPC and other government agencies move their funding to the Central Bank of Nigeria. But do you see this having, you know, any positive impact on the currency crisis on ground?
It will have impact, positive one. But the impact may not be significant. Because we have to wake up to the truth that globalization has opened us up to the global market. And we are going to, our people will keep seeing things that are produced in other markets and keep buying. The only way for us to assign value to the Naira and grow it is to start producing things that other people from across the globe can also buy from us. So so that we begin to balance our trade. We begin to have a favorable balance of trade. If we don't work towards that, no matter how you control these other agencies, you will only have slight improvement, which will be overwhelmed by the immense demand of goods and services from across the country.
Okay.
This is where the biggest problem is. So a long-term solution would be a production solution.
All right. Agaba Wilson, Agaba, I'm afraid I just have to let you, hold your thoughts right there. Thank you so much for talking to us.
All right, you're welcome.
All right, this is News Analysis live on Politics and Business Television. Now let's bring in my second guest, who is a development expert, Ben Aguloye. Thank you so much for staying, standing by. All right, now I'm sure you actually monitor the conversation, I just had with Agaba Wilson with regards to the issues, going on at the moment, talking about the NAIRA and all of, what are your expectations like? Because we also understand that an MPC, that is the Monetary Policy Committee meeting, is billed for this month. Well, all that is, that has been happening or going on within that space. What new conversation are you expecting, to come out from this MPC meeting?
Well, going by the trend thus far, we would expect that the meeting will come up and will be able to address the real issues.
Okay.
Now, you don't get development without occasional radical changes that I would say, things that are done differently. Now, that a number of things in our space do not follow global trend are also very clear.
What are those things that don't follow global trends?
Number one, because we do not have the right data. So when we speak, we are speaking generally, we're not speaking to actual data.
Okay.
So when you see a policy run in the UK or in Germany, the data is in place. The data is correct. The policies are not going to be circumvented. So when the decisions are therefore taken, true, and they will provide the desired result. But when you come to us, a lot of time, the data we put on the table, it's not correct. And so when the data is not correct, and then you decide to do the same thing that someone else has done somewhere, because your input is wrong, you will definitely not get the expected output. Now for MPC, for I think over 5 years, if you have observed them, they come in, increase the basic interest rate because they think they were going to fight inflation. And of course you come back and the same inflation continue to go up. So it tells you that whatever they've been doing is been running in circles, like you will put it. Like I said, without occasional radical changes, you don't get results. Certain changes are rascally in nature. And that's what I've seen with the MPC in the time past. Because if you come every 3 months, you change the points, you adjust it. What movement you are expected to see is not being seen. And then you are doing the same thing over and over again. So what we are therefore looking at is that they would sit down, actually agree on the fact that what are the inputs that we need? What are the figures? Because today we come and say, oh, there is round tripping. Who is responsible for round tripping? How do they get the money? If there were right data, round trip should not be so easy as it is. If today it's possible for the CBN governor to say, oh, over the last 10 years, we spent $40 billion on education, and those are what was allocated officially. I don't think that the CBN has any metrics for measuring how much dollars are purchased in the different black markets in Kano, in Lagos and Abuja for people who were going abroad.
Why is it a bit difficult? But it appears to be, such a tall order, for the CBN and the relevant stakeholders. By that, I mean the EFCC, the ICPC, and other, agencies that are supposed to check some sort of financial crimes to really, wade in and check the activities of these, black marketers or parallel market, operators, if you want to call it that way. Why is it so difficult?
We live in the modern world, so you will possibly want to place it that for every situation, I would always see that you break it into three: people, process, technology.
Okay.
If you don't have the right people in place, even if you put the right process in place, the people cannot power the process. If the people is right and the process is right and the technology is not right, you are also still going to have issues. So you need to have a match between the people, the process, and the technology. So if you are saying, oh, NFIU monitor transactions on the banking platform, great. Who is monitoring transaction in Zone 4? Who is monitoring transactions on Broad Street? Who is monitoring transactions at Allen Junction? Who is monitoring transactions in Kano? Across board, nobody is actually monitoring what happens in those places because we possibly do not have a process in place to arrest that.
Okay, so most of the time when we hear that EFCC is going out, after these, black market operators who sort of, give wrong speculations just to, cause panic, those are just moves to score some cheap political points, perhaps. Is that it?
No, the thing is this: where is the rounded process to regulate them? How do you buy dollars in Zone 4? Go to countries as near to us as Egypt, Kenya, South Africa. You're likely not going to be able to get Forex without your international passport if you are a non-indigent. And I'm sure they have a process for the indigents to also do that. In which case, every transaction
is monitored.
Go to the exchange bank on the street in Cairo, not even, it's like an open market, but the guy will ask you for your passport. He snaps it and record against it what amount of Egyptian pounds you are buying with dollars, or who is doing that.
And for what purpose?
No, he may not even ask you for purpose. If you are a visitor, you are either on training, you are a tourist, but the quantity, that's what they are concerned about. The quantity is captured. So you can monitor it, so you can say in the actual fact, this is what we have spent.
So it's crystal clear, I mean, where we are coming from and what, the issue, the main issue is, for you, is the absence of,
correct data.
Correct. But, when it comes to data or figures or numbers, if you like, there is always a controversy. We've had reasons to question the integrity of figures in this country, over time.
Why you have to question the integrity of figures is simple. Because the process is not defined. I've just told you, I don't know what the process in South Africa is, but I know that the process in Egypt is from the airport to anywhere on the street. Whoever is giving you Egyptian pounds for dollars will require to take your document. Except you do that, you are not going to get it. So when the process is well defined, an apple remains an apple, an orange remains an orange. But when the process is not defined, then I can argue with you.
Okay.
But if you are holding an apple and I'm holding an apple, and then we exchange apple, we know it is apple.
Okay. So, to wrap up the conversation, we have less than a minute, to wrap up the conversation. Is a rebound inevitable for the NAIRA?
Definitely the NAIRA won't come back, as long as the CBN is able to stay on its role. Okay, like mentioning NNPC coming to put and other revenue agency, at least bringing the revenue first into government coffers. Of course, give the CBN a better control over what is actually earned and how they are spent. But definitely, we must also look at our production. We need to look at our consumption.
All right.
We need to consume more local things. We need to look at more opportunity for exports.
Right.
Palm oil should not be imported in Nigeria if every state from Kaduna to the coast can grow palm tree and we can process. It shouldn't be an import item, it should be an export item.
Indeed, there is so much that we need to do to grow the NAIRA. It is not just the responsibility of the CBN, but every citizen, of course, must actually play a role. Ben Aguloye is a development expert. Thank you so much for bringing the conversation. Thank you so much. All right, and that's it for news analysis today. Thank you so much for watching. I am Omo Peace Osemere. I'll be back at the top of the hour with the news update. Good afternoon.